Okay, so I'm here with Kurt Wuckert Jr., Chief Bitcoin Historian at CoinGeek.com. Thank you for being with us, Kurt. So the first thing I want to ask you is, what are some things you know about Bitcoin as a subject matter expert that some people might not know?
Oh man, Bitcoin is the most efficient payment network in the history of the world. It's almost 16 years old and almost nobody knows it, which is why everybody's trying to develop faster blockchains. They don't realize that the base protocol actually is the most efficient way to do it.
You've interviewed quite a few people. Who are some of the most interesting people in the industry that you've met that people might want to hear about?
It's hard to pick. I think maybe my favorite interview, I interviewed Mike Hearn. Mike Hearn was actually the very first person to talk to Satoshi Nakamoto. When Satoshi debuted the white paper in 2008, Mike Hearn showed up and immediately wanted to jump in. He was a scaling expert from Google, and they hit it off, and then he became a very controversial figure himself. Very famously disappeared from Bitcoin in 2015. Basically told everybody, Bitcoin's a failed project, you all suck, and I'm leaving. And nobody had interviewed him for almost 10 years. I got an interview with him about 6 months ago in early 2025. Had a 2-hour-long banger going through all the history of Bitcoin. That one was massive for me. I've also talked to guys like Ian Grigg, who is actually the guy that invented all the language that turned into what we think of as smart contracts, and a whole bunch of other people. It's a laundry list of Bitcoin and general blockchain distributed consensus people that I could go on for hours.
So I have to ask you, did he tell you who Satoshi is?
Ian Grigg very much is famous for being one of the guys who knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is, and we have talked quite a bit about that topic. And he's a cryptic fellow himself, so he likes to speak in hints and riddles. But I don't know how much I should talk about that.
Do you think we'll ever find out?
I think I know Satoshi Nakamoto myself, so yes.
But lip sealed?
So it's a really controversial subject. He was actually outed in 2015. A guy named Dr. Craig Wright. Dr. Craig Wright's an Australian computer scientist, and it became the most controversial thing in the entire space. It's turned into multiple massive court battles. I have sat in about 75 days of open court listening to people suing him, trying to take his assets, people trying to prove in UK court that he specifically is not Satoshi Nakamoto. So I've had a crazy career kind of around that group of people, but I personally think it's very clear that Craig is, but the world would fundamentally disagree for lots of reasons.
That's your best guess?
Yes.
Now there are some people, Kurt, who say, if you have the money to invest in Bitcoin or say Ethereum, good for you, but every other chain has come and gone. Thoughts on that?
It's like a lot of things. I think a lot of people were really excited about what the technology could do, and then they realized, this is very simple to copy and paste. All I got to do is market an idea really well, people will jump in, I'll create liquidity out of nowhere, and exit. We have seen not hundreds, not thousands, tens of thousands of exit scams, which is a huge scar on the industry. It makes us all look like fools. There are very few projects outside of maybe a dozen that I think are actual serious projects by serious business people that want to really change the world and are willing to put the work in. And actually, I'm kind of surprised that some of the people at this conference, I've been kind of impressed. I was prepared to be disappointed again, and a few people seem really serious here, and so it's kind of a breath of fresh air.
Give me a few projects you like off the top of your head.
Oh man, so I think the Ethereum people have decided that they want to go legit. Most of the scams came from Ethereum, but the fact that they've gone through it, they are actually trying to figure out how to scale because people are investing real time into building businesses here. But the PTT blockchain was here. They're the peace through trade. They've talked to the UN, they've talked to the Singapore government. They are building everything with regulatory compliance in mind, such that the government can then adopt the technology for issuing government assets or central bank digital currencies and these kind of things. And that's the kind of work that takes sometimes 4 or 5 years to actually do. And they have spent 4 or 5 years filing the right paperwork, talking to the right people, hiring the right law firms to actually get that done in a way that is compliant. And that's not the kind of thing that you do when you're going to just exit scam. And so I'm pretty optimistic about where that kind of thing is going.
So not everyone likes to talk about controversy in this industry, but I hear you're not afraid. So I come from a TV news reporting background, so I've dealt with a lot of controversies. Kurt, tell me, what's the controversy to look out for in the industry right now that some people might not know about?
So the Bitcoin core developers have really been in control of the BTC blockchain, what everybody thinks of as Bitcoin, for about 10 years with very little challenge. Now they've had a major schism over the last 6 months. One of the main developers is a guy named Wuckert Jr, and he has split off and created the NOTs implementation of Bitcoin that is designed to filter out all data that is not just person-to-person payments. So when I said Bitcoin is fundamentally the most scalable payment technology ever, you can also attach little pieces of data to those transactions. So you can put a PDF of your receipt in the transaction, for example, or you can create tokens that do all kinds of things. Well, Luke has decided all of that kind of thing is not just a bad idea, but an attack on Bitcoin. And so he really is starting a major splinter group that is kind of turning into a civil war.
Wow.
We really could see Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Knots split, become two separate chains. Then if that happens, there will be a battle over who's the real Bitcoin. We've seen this before. This happened in 2017. It was Bitcoin Cash and all of that stuff. A lot of those same ingredients are really, they're in the pot right now and getting stirred, and it's getting pretty spicy.
So I hear you know my brother, Tim.
I do. So I am a watch nerd. One of the major things that I've gotten into over the last couple of years is like finely made watches, and your brother Tim is like the legend of that industry. And so when I found out you were a Maso, I got nervous to talk to you. So
yeah, and shout out Tim. So what's next for you, Kurt?
Oh man, so I own a mining company called Gorilla Pool. We are working on truly making Bitcoin a scalable payments technology. Everybody wants to talk about what Ethereum could do in theory or what Lightning Network could do in theory.
Right.
But really, if we just get all the way back to Bitcoin, Bitcoin can change the world. And if BTC, if they're going to have their little civil war, I'm trying to show people that, like, look, if the protocol is set in stone, and if you take out the arbitrary limits that the developers have put in over the last few years, we can take over everything. We can replace Visa and MasterCard and SWIFT. We can replace all of the data economy. So all your X, Facebook, Meta, all of these people that are making trillions of dollars off of our data.
And that was the whole point originally.
That can all be in one spot. And it can be public. We can own our own identity. We can be our own bank. And we can change everything. And so that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm excited about.
So you're hoping that civil war doesn't happen?
You know what? They can do what they want. It's honestly, I think those kind of people are they're the wrong people to be in charge of anything, and I think they're showing it, and I think it would be a good thing if they essentially burned themselves out and made space for people that are more serious and more professional.
Right, okay. Anything else you want to tell us, Kurt? You are just a treasure trove of information that I think people really want to know about in this industry.
I think that if we actually work together and if we can coalesce on one network, so we're at a conference right now where there's probably 24 blockchains represented, but that's kind of like having 24 internets that don't really talk to each other.
Right.
The world got really great when the whole internet decided on one protocol. If we can decide on one protocol that can actually scale, then we can all do business together. I'm excited to live in a world where it's just as easy to do business in North Carolina as it would be to do business in South Korea without any of these weird jumps and exchanges and gatekeepers. And so I want to live there. I think we can do it.
And on that note, I got to ask you, when are we going to see interoperability of wallets?
It's being worked on. Everybody's got a bridge protocol, or I got to wrap this idea in this idea.
Or it's coming.
Everything's coming soon, and I kind of think interoperability is one of those things where you start to build a Rube Goldberg machine that we don't need. We need to decide on a base protocol that actually works, and then build on top of it. So your apps can talk to each other, but at the base layer, it's all one thing.
Right. Okay, Kurt, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.